in the arms of the angel. Fly away from this dark hotel room and the endlessness that you feel. You were born from the record of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of the angels, may you find so comforting.
Hi, this is Dancing Rabbit. Welcome to another Saturday Pagan Perspective. Once again, I'm running a little bit late. I had a book signing yesterday, and yesterday evening was Pride Saturday here in Houston, so I was pretty much tied up all day yesterday. This week's topic is angels, spirit guides, mentors. So I'd like to talk a little bit about each in particular, give you my take on what they are and what, if anything, I do in my spiritual practice that relates to them. First of all, angels. I consider angels part of the Christian mythos. And since I'm not a Christian, I really have no interest in working with them. If you do and you want to practice a little creative synchronism, then I don't have any problem with that. I don't think anybody's paganism is so super pure that we can't combine something from some other path with it if it works for us. I grew up Methodist, and my understanding of angels was that in the Bible they were messengers from God who could assume physical form to deliver an important message to some Bible character. And since this was something that happened a long time ago, I really had no expectation of ever meeting an angel myself and never tried to. In Catholic thought, there are also intermediaries between God and man who can be prayed to for specific purposes. And you have specific angels that are in charge of specific kinds of problems. Since I was Protestant, this wasn't part of what I learned growing up, and it isn't part of what I practice now. In Mormon theology and in popular fiction, angels are sometimes described as the spirits of the deceased who can visit people and act as intermediaries, like Moroni delivering a message to Joe Smith about the golden plates. In Catholic thought and in some New Age teaching, angels are spirits that are assigned to a particular person to guide them and to guard them. And this is what people call a guardian angel. This wasn't part of my theology as a Christian, and I've really never picked up on that as a pagan or used it. But if it works for you, then, why should I have any problem with it? Angels are also viewed as psychopomps, as spirits that guide the newly deceased to the next world. You can see this in a lot of movies and fiction. In Islamic theology, Azrael is the death angel who takes the deceased to paradise. Since I haven't died, at least not yet, I really haven't ever been concerned with that. I've never been present at the moment of another's death, so I don't have experience with maybe seeing or sensing some angelic presence. When my wife had her near-death experience during and shortly after her aneurysm surgery, she's described it as there was a point where she felt herself leaving her body through her chest and a sort of a soft, foggy light surrounding her. But she has never talked about seeing angels or other spiritual beings during this experience. She tells me that she had a conversation with herself and decided that she wasn't ready to go, she wasn't ready to leave, and for her boys, she needed to come back, and so she came back into her body. Spirit guides. There's a couple of different ideas about spirit guides, that they are the spirits of deceased persons. They're not ghosts because they're not bound to a particular place, and they're not your ancestors because they're probably not in your lineage. They would be total strangers if you were to go back in time and actually meet the person. But you can talk to them, and they talk to you, and they give you advice and protection. I think this was what Mo was talking about in her video. I've never had any experience with this type of spirit guide. People that do seances, and possibly some people who do Ouija board have this sort of experience, but it's never been anything that's been attractive to me, so I've never pursued it. Some people, when they're talking about guides, are talking about power animals, animal spirits that you have a working relationship that guide you in your spiritual life. This, I think, comes more from a Native American or shamanistic tradition. I have friends who do this sort of thing, but I've never had any experience with it. I don't think that this is quite what we mean when we talk about having a familiar. There are those that use the word familiar to talk about a spiritual creature that takes the form of an animal or could be visualized as an animal. When I talk about familiar, I'm talking about an actual animal that I'm able to communicate with, that I have a very empathetic relationship with. So this is not what we're talking about today. The only sort of animal spirit guide thing that I've ever done was when I'm casting circle. I quite often call quarters in the form of animals or animal spirits, with the black wolf at north, golden eagle at the east, red lion or sort of a tawny orangish red lion to the south, and a dolphin which is sort of a grayish blue in color to the west. So I invite them to my circle, and I ask for their help in the work that I'm doing. Sometimes if I'm doing a particular kind of spell, I'll call on one of these four in particular. So I don't know if you exactly consider those animal spirit guides or not. I don't have any particular names for them, and I don't have any kind of a working relationship with them out of circle, as many people have described. I've never done any shamanistic journeying or trance work. I've played around with it for a little while, and it didn't seem to work for me, so I didn't pursue it further. But I've never had any of that sort of experience to relate to power animals in the upper and the lower worlds. Mentors. Mentors, and I don't think we're talking about humans who are our spiritual mentor, but some sort of spiritual beings that mentor us. Spirits or deities that a person is dedicated to, that teach or guide the person in their life. This, I think, is a pagan thing, and particularly Norse paganism. You have a tutelary deity that you're dedicated to. You'll also see this pop up in some of the better pagan or old pagan type fiction, some of the sword and sorcery type stuff. I don't have any what I would consider spirits that are my mentor or tutor. I have been, since my very earliest days as a pagan, been pledged to the horned god that I usually address as Kernonos, or Kernonos, and I would consider him my tutelary deity. But that's maybe a level or so above an animal guide or sort of elemental tutelary spirit. And before I completely run out of time, let me close out by wishing all of you peace.